In this video, I'm going to teach you how to add more yarn in case you run out of the color that you're working on, or how to change colors to a different color of yarn. They both work exactly the same way. So let's say we just finished this round of the square, and then we want to finish off with this yarn because we're either done with it and we need more, or we want to change to a different color. For the illustration purposes of this video, I'm going to change to a different color just so you can see it better. So we're right here at the end. We made our last stitch. Now what we need to do is cut off this yarn and then take your hook and just pull the string straight through. Okay? That finishes it off. It locks everything up. And now this is also how you finish off a project once you're finished. So you have this, you're done, but now you need to do something with this tail. And what we do with that is we weave it into the work on the back side so that it doesn't show up. So here's what you do. You get a needle. I like to use this kind. It's got a little curve on the end of it. It makes it easier to work with. The eye is really big. They're called darning needles. You can get them at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, just about any craft store. So you take the tail yarn of your work and you thread it through the needle. And you take your work and flip it over to the back side. You need to learn how to tell which side is the front and which side is the back. You can see the front side, all the stitches look very nice, they're uniform, they're pretty. And on the back, they're all kind of bumpy and it just doesn't look as good in general. So flip it over to the back side, take your needle, and just pick one of the stitches and pull it through. Okay? Just do this again. Try to stay on the back side of the loop so that when you flip it over, you can't see that you're actually doing that. Pull it through. And basically you just want to run it through several times in lots of different places so that it doesn't come undone. I like to go down a couple of layers and then over a little bit just to give it some added security. Because if this string does come undone, it'll actually unravel your work from the inside out, and it can ruin a project once it's finished. So got it like that. Take your scissors and clip it off. There we go. That's how you finish a project. If it's one that you're completely done with, that's how you would finish. But in this case, we're changing colors or adding more yarn, so we had to finish that off, and now we'll add the next color. So the first thing you do, we're going to start in the corner, so just put your hook through the corner. That's where we're going to do everything from. So take your new color yarn and loop it over your hook, just like that. Just lay it over it. Grab it with your hook and pull it through the corner. Alright. Now, anytime we start a new round that's working on double crochets, we always chain 3 up. So just grab your working yarn, let the tail stay where it is, and just go ahead and do your chain 3 stitches. Okay? And we know that we have to do 2 more double crochets in the same hole. So continuing to hold that tail, just like that, go ahead and do your 2 double crochets. This part isn't real scientific. It doesn't have to be exact. You can let go of the tail, you can push it around, do what you want, but just get it out of the way and make sure it kind of stays locked in. Once you get that double crochet done like that, you can look at the back of it and you can see there's your tail. So when we get done with this, we will have to weave in this end as well as the finished end of this row of color. So just remember that the more you change colors, the more ends that you have to weave in. So now we'll just go ahead and make our round all the way around. Okay, now we'll go ahead and say that we want to change colors again here so we can see it one more time. Or maybe you're out of yarn and you need to add more of the same color. So remember, go ahead and cut your yarn off from the yarn that you're working on. Take your hook and just pull that loop through, and that locks it into place. So now if you flip it over and look at the back side, now we have 2 pieces of yarn that we have to weave in. This one is the one that we just finished working with, and this is the one that we started with. So let's go ahead and get our needle. We'll just take it and put it under this loop right here and kind of go all the way around with it and let it come out right here. pull it through. Now, for all intents and purposes, you can just stop right there, pull it real tight, and then cut it off. It's usually best to go under a couple more. You go ahead and maybe weave it in under this piece of orange and then under this piece of white, and maybe down a row and around, but it just depends on how secure you want it to be and how much time and effort you want to put into it. Because if you're changing colors every round and you have to weave in 2 pieces of yarn at the end of every round, then you're probably not going to want to spend too much time on weaving in ends. So let's go ahead and do the other one. You can see it one more time. Thread the needle, flip it over. We're going to weave it into the back side so it doesn't show. This isn't precise. You can put it anywhere you want to. Your goal is so that it doesn't show on the front side when you're finished. So just however you have to do that is what you need to do. Let's go ahead and we'll pull it down to this previous row, and then we'll put it under this row of white with the same other one. Pull it good and tight, clip it off, and then kind of straighten your work up a little bit, because you can see it made that divot where we pulled it. So just straighten that out. Looks good and straight. And let's look at the right side of the work. Get everything square. Let's look at it. And that looks pretty good. So, and that will be that. And you just repeat this process anytime you need to add more yarn or change colors. It's always exactly the same. Also, I would add that I gave this example as using a granny square, but this works exactly the same whether you're working on a hat or scarf, anything. Anytime you change colors, you just insert your hook into the stitch that you normally would go into for the next one, loop over your piece of yarn, pull it through, and just start working. So if we were working on something else, let's say we were working in stitches, so we would have to go into this stitch and do a double crochet and pull through. Okay, so let's put the hook through that stitch, grab the yarn and pull it through, and then if we were doing double crochets, you would just start your stitch.